Hello, you know who it is? Undying Magic back in the house for another video about Black is Magic BPT Motherland deck. So in this video, I'm just going to talk about a bunch of stuff. It's probably going to be a really long video, so buckle in. Okay, first things first, let's talk about some single card discussion, all right? Look at... Oh, it's not even in here. Okay, so I've been playtesting a card called Quandrix Command, and I've been playing it in the place of Vanishing Verse. I took out Vanishing Verse, and I'm currently playing this card. I haven't changed it on the deck yet because I haven't really made my mind up about it. But technically, the current version of this list has this card. So it's a removal spell. It can deal with multiple permanents, right? Can deal with basically all of them apart from lands. It even has some graveyard hate slapped onto it, which is really nice. And the reason why I'm running this over the Vanishing Verse is because it puts 2+1/+1 counters on target creature. And we have a slight problem in Sisay where we're running really high quality cards, but that also means there's not the density of legendary permanents isn't as high as it could be for us to consistently make our power really big. Like, it's fine. It's only sometimes that you run into hands where you just don't draw into anything. But running something like Quandrix Command that can act as an extra way to bump our power, I think is really powerful. We can knock our opponent behind a step, and whilst also advancing our game plan. Removal that does that is really powerful, because in Commander, it's most of the time it's not enough to just stop your opponent. Like, wasting a card to just remove one opponent's thing, unless obviously it's gonna kill you, it's not good in Commander. But if we're doing that as well as advancing our own game plan, then suddenly it becomes a very good play, a very good tempo play. Although, tempo isn't really a thing in Commander. I say that it is, but it's a different game. It really is a different game. Okay, so next card that we're going to talk about, Flowering of the White Tree. The legality on this card is a bit shaky, because let's be honest, you can't really tell that those bishops or whatever in the background are black. But kind of like, I was looking at it with a friend who was kind of looking at the face, all the faces, and was like, you know what, they're all black. But this card's very good. It bumps our Sisay. Free power by itself. Free power by itself is very good. The wood one as well is just a cherry on top. And then if you pair that with the Coppercoat Vanguard, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. All right. Any other cards that are worth talking about before we dive into mulligans and keeping hands? Not really. Final Fortunes was great. I think I've already talked about that. All right. Let's move into hands. Yay. Hang on. All right. All these cards shouldn't even be in a considering pile. I'm not considering them. Not anymore. Not these counter spells anyways. If we need them, I'll use them. But for now, unnecessary. All right. So let's talk about mulligans. The priority of mulligans is the same as before we had Cloudstone Curio. Obviously, now it's even more so. So the priority we keep in hands has only been exacerbated, if that's the right word. I should have just said exaggerated. I don't know why I tried to be fancy. Ramp. That's the main priority. All we need is mana to win. That's it. So ramp is number one priority. Then card draw. Then interaction, as in protection. Then card draw. Shooters, then card draw, then whatever else. Card draw is very low. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, If you have a Rhystic Study in your hand and you can cast it either on curve or better, you keep the hand. Rhystic Study is its own category. You know what I'm saying? But ramp, interaction, tutors, card draw. Tutors before card draw. Okay, so let's look at this hand, for example. I'll keep this hand. Do we have ramp? Ding ding! There's no tutors, but we got very powerful draw spell, very powerful little hate bear, which it it's forgiving for the fact that this hand isn't super fast. This is not a fast hand. We have a turn 1, little bit of card draw, turn 2 ramp into a turn 3, Aven Mindcensor. But Aven Mindcensor will help this hand. Like, it's okay to not have a fast hand. As I said, this deck is very mid-range. It can either be blitzing fast or it will play the long game. But yeah, this is a good hand. It's good. It's not blowing my socks off, but I can't complain. This hand is trash, okay? It's got 1 land. What are we going to do with 1 land? I don't like 1 land hands, okay? Playing land drops is king. I say that. I cut down to 35 lands, which so far has honestly been fine. You will have games where you miss land drops, absolutely. But I've also been winning games. The win rate of this deck is quite high. It used to be higher, but I've been playing with the same guys all the time, so they're starting to learn the deck. They could learn it even better if they just looked at all this information that I put out there about the deck. But nah, they've just been learning the deck, so they just know. They're just starting to know, so that has decreased the win rate a lot more. There's no like surprise on the end step. Is like they're like, we know what you're getting. They always know what I'm getting. The only difference is they either have it they have the interaction in their hand to stop it, or they don't. That's the only question that I ask with this deck. Do you have it or not? You know what's happening. I ain't gotta explain it. But anyways, the win rate is high. Even if you do miss land drops, sometimes you just gotta sacrifice it. Sacrifice the long game advantage to just win right now. And that is very risky. But anyways, 1 land hand, rubbish. This hand is also rubbish. It has lands, which is nice. It has a nice turn 2 play and a counter spell, but there's no ramp. We simply can't keep a hand with no ramp, no matter how, like, unless it's, like a Rhystic Study. Like, there's just no point. So it was a bad hand. This hand's good. I would probably get rid of the Chromox for the Gemstone Caverns, and then do a turn 2 Flowering of the White Tree into like a turn 3 Sisay. Or just see what happens. But this is a good hand. Like, it's obviously very fast. And we even have the Sevin's Reclamation in case, someone removes the Flowering or the Sisay, right? And we have Boseiju as a bit of interaction. Although, I'm fine just playing it as a land. Anyways, next hand. Let's look at it. This is a great hand. This is pretty obviously great. Turn 2 Recruiter of the Guard. So that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So turn 2, we get to play Recruiter of the Guard and play the Bloom Tender. In case you didn't know, you tutor for Bloom Tender basically every time with Recruiter of the Guard. Obviously, this deck is very toolboxy, and every situation has its card. Every card has its situation, but 99.9999% of the time, we get Bloom Tender. This is a very good hand. It's, that's a no-brainer. All right, another hand. This is a good hand. I would get rid of the Source of Plowshares because who cares, right? I would rather have the piece to protect my own stuff than the piece to get rid of someone else's dangerous thing, right? At the end of the day, most things that players are slapping down aren't gonna kill you. Most things, all right. There's big scary things out there, sure, but it is a waste of removal to spend it on that if it's not actually killing you. If I still get to untap on my turn and win on my turn, why would I care if you have Ginger Cactus, Elish Norn, blah blah blah, this and that out? Like, I literally don't care, bro. So get rid of the Source of Plowshares. We have a turn 1 Farseek. The only bad thing about the hand is that there's nothing, juice in Sisay. Obviously, we can cast Sisay and then activate the Flows maneuver, but we're really hoping to, like, over these turns. Turn 1 we get to draw, turn 2 we get to draw, turn 3 we get to draw. We're really hoping to get some juicy stuff off of that. Anyways, next hand. This is a good hand. 2 ramp spell. I mean, technically, bro, every land in this hand is a ramp spell. What? No, I mean, every card in this hand is a ramp spell. Ancient Tomb, Teferi, Farseek, Quincy, Harker, the other Teferi. It's all ramp, which is great. A turn 3 win is possible with this deck now. It's obviously very unlikely, but the turn 3 win hand does rely on having Teferi who slows the sunset in hand, and Bloom Tender. It can be really explosive. It's just very explosive. So having that piece there already is just great. So yeah, all right. So here we have another freaking hand. We're gonna start talking about hands now. We're just gonna play test and talk about sequencing and blah 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 blah, all that fun stuff. So play test. Boom. Turn 1, draw for turn. Let's do the fetch land. We already have a bunch of lands in hand, so I actively want to thin out the deck. So I will play the fetch land. Boom, 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 ramp, ramp, ramp. We drew another land. Really fun. Loving this. This is great. Let's go get a stomping ground. I don't actually know. I'm not going to think too hard about what land I'm getting. Go drop down to Teferi. Let's go untappy, untappy, nappy. Yummy, yummy. Duncan Yamami. All right. I think we played this out. No. I kind of want to play a Sisay. It depends. 99.99% there's no creatures on the board right now. So I'll just play this out. But if there were creatures on the board, I'd play out Sisay and just risk her getting removed. We're going to have 6 mana next turn anyways. So if someone did remove it, we'll just cast her again and just laugh at them. All right. Let's go play the black source. The what source? In this deck, they're all black sources. Okay, that was a bad joke. What was I doing? Sisay. So what I'll do right now is turn 3. Play Sisay. She's on 6 billion power. I say 6 billion. 6 power. All right. So in this situation, look. We drew Cloudstone. And this, in a way, this is bad because we can't now tutor it out with Tezzeret. But in another way, it's now cheaper to get it. Instead of tutoring 5 mana with Sisay, we can just cast it for 3 mana. Right? So, yeah, it's good and bad. Obviously, it's bad because it's a dead card. That's also why I took out Ultra Teferi, which I forgot to talk about. I took out Ultra Teferi because it's a dead card. If you draw it, it's a dead card. Same as with the Cloudstone. And it's okay. Like, when it's part of your Plan A combo, obviously, it's a given that combos are going to have a dead card. Like, all combos have some important glue that's a dead card in your hand. But that's just what you get for playing combo. But having 2 of those cards in the deck, to me, that just feels like a lot, right? But Ultra Teferi is really good, and I'm considering put it back in because it allows, it's like a little bridge between Teferi who slows the sunset and Archmage Teferi, because Sisay needs to be on 7 power to get the Archmage Teferi, and a lot of the times we can get it to 6 really easily, but getting that last bit sometimes on the same turn when you're trying to win is really hard. So yeah, but whatever. So we did that. Boom, bing, boom. Based off the situation, I might even be. Let me see. Only 4 mana. 4 colored mana in terms of tutoring with. Well, no. Well, if I float 3. Okay, so you can float 3 colors, right? We got what, white, black, green. We can then uptick to Teferi, untap that. We need green and blue. Okay, so we can tutor with Sisay this turn. So yeah, I would, if we didn't have the mana to tutor with Sisay, I would down tick to Teferi and just draw some cards. His down tick is Anticipate, but while I tutor, we can't react to anything right now. We had to do it main phase. So might as well get something juicy. Just get Dynahair and gun for the win next turn. Actually, yeah. Get Dynahair, gun for the win next turn. It's turn 3, right? Obviously, there's plenty of 1 mana removal. I mean, there could be 2 mana, 3 mana removal around right now, but it's like we have the Ward 1. There's multiple options of things for them to remove. They might remove the wrong thing, right? So I'm just gonna tell you the secret. The wrong thing to remove right now is Sisay. If they remove Sisay, we just cast her again for 6 mana next turn, and then wait another turn. Literally don't care. If they remove Dynahair, that's probably also a wrong move. Not gonna lie, it's not. It's a better move, but it's still a wrong move because all Dynahair does is make what we're already doing better. But like we're still gonna do that thing if you get rid of Dynahair. So I would get rid of the Teferi if they had the removal. So that's the option that's open there, right? But even then, even if they get rid of the Teferi, we just play our 5th land. We have WUBRG, right? Sisay's still on 7 power. We tap WUBRG. So now we have 2 Sisay activations on the stack. Number 1, bloopy bloop, Aminatu. Number 2, bloopy bloop. Oh no, not Tezzeret. Oh no, not Tezzeret. Teferi, Temporal Archmage. Right? We down tick Teferi. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tap 3 mana. Cast a Cloudstone Curio. And then blink Teferi. Bounce Aminatu. Untap 4 permanents again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Use the Esper. Cast Aminatu. Blah blah blah. Why am I explaining the loop? We have it. There you go. Turn 4 win. So as you can see, the deck can win very fast, but I say very fast. The reason why it's powerful isn't because it wins fast. It's because it wins quickly with protection and with resilience. Like we had we had 1 piece of protection as well as the ability to just try again next turn, right? Not to mention we could have played it even safer, and instead of getting Dynahair, get like Shalai or something. Not that I would get Shalai, but like even like Teferi Time Raveler or something. Like we could have played it even safer, but I didn't see a point in it. Right? Make him have it now, or make him have it now. Try again if they do, or just win. And like, yeah, that to me is true power. There's many decks that can win fast that I can go all out, but then they either have no protection or they just get blown out and then have no gas. It's like this deck always has if not one, multiple layers of protection. Most of the time it's holding it up at instant speed. So it's just to be able to do it at turn 4 as well at the same time as giving opponents obstacles to get over is very good. That's all. Just to follow through, obviously make infinite mana, 1 mana at a time. Tutor out Mount Doom. Untap Mount Doom, continuing the same loop, and then just ping your opponents to death. We didn't go to combat, so we still have our combat. So we could get Shalai, and then make Sisay infinitely big. Well, make Sisay and Dynahair infinitely big. Obviously we need to get past blockers. It's a bit peak as well because we need like 3 creatures with haste to like kill our opponents, but we can draw our deck until we get Cyclonic Rift. Get rid of all the blockers and then swing. In fact, we can give all our stuff haste. We can draw until we get Final Fortune, go to our next turn with whatever creatures we got out, and then swing again. So yeah. Is Save of the Moment still in the list? No, because it's a dead card. Fairs. Fairs. Yeah. Save of the Moment isn't as much a dead card as Ultra Teferi. But it just wasn't necessary. Like, we have a strong plan A. We have a strong plan B. We have an okay plan C. We have protection coming out our ear holes. Yeah, The deck is getting very close to becoming perfect. Obviously, it's not. There's a bunch of chakalaka, stupid cards that we have to run, or just like inferior cards. We're so close to having an Underworld Breach combo available. We have Lion's Eye, we have Underworld Breach as legal cards in the deck. We just don't have the Brain Freeze or the Wheel of Fortune. If we had either of those cards, this deck would have a whole nother level of just goodness on it. The fact that we can fall back on the flipping Brain Freeze combo, man, that'd be insane. But at the same time, I'm glad. I don't want this deck to just become a normal Sisei list. The whole reason why I started this in the first place was to stretch the limits, to not only show representation, but to stretch the limits of what a commander deck is. Like, this isn't just a deck, it's art. It's a book, it's a song, it's a symphony. It's complex. I spent way too much time on this. It's art. But yeah, I think that's pretty simple. I say simple. It's not simple. The reason why I'm doing so many videos is because like it does take some time to understand what to do. And when you're not in an actual game, it does seem easy. In an actual game, there's so many things that you have to respond to. You need to know your opponent's decks because then you can effectively tutor out the little pieces, like counteract their deck or like counteract the specific moment. And a lot of the times when I lose a game with this deck, afterwards, there was a way that I could have won. And that's I don't I don't think I've ever had a game where it's like there was nothing I could do. Like there's always, oh, I should have done this, I should have, and sometimes there was no way for me to know unless I straight up could read their minds or could tell the future. Sometimes you just don't know what the right move is until the thing happens, right? But there's always a thing that you could have done. There's always an answer there that you can tutor out or something. And I like that a lot about the deck. I like that it's hard to play. So yeah. That's all. I think the video's done. I don't think I need to run through another thing. I guess I kind of want to because I kind of want to show like what a more normal hand looks like. Because obviously that hand was just crazy. Like turn 4 is not typical. Like I'm always assuming that I'm playing the long game. I say the long game, like turn 6, turn 7 for me is like, that's what I want to take it to because you need those extra turns to play it safe, right? Sometimes you do need to play it safe. Sometimes, like, if I could have held that WUBRG open on my opponent's turns, obviously we couldn't because we had to float the mana to untap it with Teferi. But if I could have held it open, I would have played it safe and just responded to what was happening. But in that situation, like, it's only situations like that where you need to use it now before the mana goes that I do the have it or I win move, right? And that's a powerful thing as well. But yeah, I don't think they're like, yeah, like this hand is so just like it's so mulliganable, but don't mulligan it. It's a bit peak though because we don't have the third land, but we can at least cast a Throna Shaman, and if we don't get the third land, we can pitch one of these two creatures to either get a normal mana dork or get Bloom Tender, right? And Bloom Tender is explosive enough that it'll make up for missing the land. I'm not even gonna click to draw to see if we draw the land because it doesn't matter. But yeah, this hand is very mulliganable, but at the same time very keepable. And I think it's worth the risk. Not gonna lie, because the payoff's pretty good. This hand is obviously a long game hand. There's between Captain Sisei and Rhystic Study. Those are two very mid-range value cards that turn after turn just excel our advantage. It's very good. Trash. Ain't got no time for these one land hands, man. This is a good hand. Oh, nope. We don't have any white sources. It's trash. This is a good hand. Yeah. Yeah. Good hand. Good hand. What's that? Is that turn 2 Rhystic Study? No. Unfortunately not. but it's a turn 3 Rhystic Study. And a turn 3 Rhystic Study is really good. All right. Tempting, but trash. Trash. Tweet. Tweet. I'm just making noises now. That is a video. So that was, me. Shoot. Join the Discord. There's a Discord. View the primer, preview. This is what the primer looks like to me, by the way. Like, me writing all of this, like, it's just very confusing. I wish it looked nicer to work on. But as long as it looks nice when it's, to the public. Anyways, join the Discord. The link is in the primer, okay? I'm also probably going to take off these updates. Like, it's released. I don't need to declare that there's a huge update, but it was a big update. I've spent a lot of time since the release of the set, like, just changing all of this. It's kind of annoying. I'm glad because the deck's better. I got cool new cards, but I'm also mad because I had to go and change all of this and all right. Join the Discord. Talk about the deck with me. I want, like, right here. This is my goal. This is what it's all about. The most powerful EDH list when the entire non-land deck has Art of Black people. Let's go. Go bot.